Hey guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to Mama Z from Natural Living Family, and we are going to take your detox to a whole new level. So welcome, Mama Z.
Hey, thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure to be here.
All right, well, we're going to start by talking about the detox hydration drink that you make. So I want you to walk us through how to make the detox hydration drink and what the benefits are.
Absolutely. So we make our essential water concentrate to start with. And I take a glass size jug that is 1 gallon. And I'm going to put 5 drops of 4 of the citrus essential oils. So 5 drops of lemon, 5 drops of lime, 5 drops of orange, and 5 drops of, which one am I missing? Grapefruit. Almost forgot grapefruit. And that's one of the most important when you're detoxing. So I'm going to do 2 eyedroppers full of stevia. I'm going to do that to dilute it. And I use the Cal brand of stevia. It's emulsified with the apple cider vinegar. And I like that brand best. So I'm going to help dilute essential oils all floating on top of the water. Then I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of fresh squeezed organic lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of fresh organic squeezed lime juice, and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And you want an organic apple cider vinegar with the mother. So I'm going to put all those things in this gallon-sized glass jar, and then I'm going to fill it all the way up to the top with purified or distilled water. And for us, we actually have a whole house purification system, and then we have another purifying system that's in our kitchen as well. So I have doubly purified water, and I'm going to fill that up to the top. Now that is my concentrate. So then when I have a 1 liter container, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it halfway full with that concentrate. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of organic fresh squeezed lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of organic fresh squeezed lime juice, and 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. And then I'm going to put a scoop of Ultima electrolytes that has all of your trace minerals, your potassium, selenium, magnesium. So I'm going to only put 1 scoop in there. That's it. And then I'm going to fill the rest up with the purified or distilled water. And you can, if you're in the detox process, you can consume 2 to 4 of those per day. So depending on what you're doing. So when you're talking about detox, hydration is key. So hydration is so important. And in those essential oils that we use in that particular concentrate are really good for helping detoxify the system, moving things out. So if you're in the detox or if you live a life of detox, which is what we believe, then you're wanting to constantly flush the toxins out. And when you look at our world and how our food is made and how everything is made, it's so important to do everything you can to stay as detoxified as possible. So that's why this particular thing is key.
Okay, so I want to talk about water for just a second because, a lot of people are like, you should drink distilled water, and distilled water comes from pure H2O being boiled out. The contaminants are being boiled out. Purified water, a lot of it comes from reverse osmosis. And then you've got spring water that comes from mountains that have natural springs running through them, and they have natural minerals. So a lot of people say, well, you should, do the natural from the spring water because you're getting all those minerals. And then some people are like, if you're really toxic, you should be using distilled water just to make sure, all the contaminants are being moved out. So talk a little bit about what your preference is, or are you kind of saying, sometimes I drink distilled, sometimes I drink purified, sometimes I drink spring, I just kind of combine it. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so if we're traveling, then it's always the safest to go with distilled water. Typically, I'll get that from Whole Foods. And then, so when I'm on the road or when I'm traveling, I'm always using distilled because I don't have as much control over it. And, if you're flying by airplane, for some people, that makes them more constipated. So it's always good to kind of have like a zero balance of flushed out. When I'm in training mode, distilled water. But when it comes to like what we do at home, like our whole house filtration system. So what happens is the company that we use for our whole house, they take what your water supply is in your area from where your water supply comes from, which has its own batch reports. And then they make adjustments for that, and they have the proper filtration depending on what your contaminants are in the area. And so then I have one sink that has a reverse osmosis as well. And then my other sink has where you can have hydrogen water, you can have pH up to pH 9 water. And so it just depends on what I'm doing. If I am working on making tea or coffee lattes, I typically don't use the pH 9 or the hydrogen water for those. I've found that when I make my iced coffee lattes, because I press it, I do all of the stuff for that, it actually separates the nut milk from the coffee itself. So there's certain ones that I don't do that with. Now, for regular drinking water, I will use the stuff that is in my tap, but also with bottled water, the thing to think about is it travels so far, and most of them are in plastic jugs. So you're going to have heat and cool, you're going to have contaminants purely from travel. So I try to limit my bottled water as much as I can. We use a couple different lines, and there are a few that are like the Voss bottles. They have good spring water and good sparkling water. So we will use those as well. So you just really want to watch the sourcing. I mean, because I have had good spring water that actually tasted like spring water, and I have had spring water that it tasted like I got it out of the toilet. So it's just always watch your sourcing, especially if you're going to do a lot with bottled water. And make sure that you align yourself with a company that you work well with, and that you enjoy the taste, because ultimately, if you taste the water by itself, it shouldn't have a taste, really, right? It shouldn't have something. But I do love the Voss water. I do love that. And Fiji water, if it's going to be a plastic option, Fiji water is another opportunity that I think that has a very clean taste.
Did you know that you can get all 4 of the books that I wrote, Waste Away, Fasting to Freedom, One Meal into Tasting, and Freedom from Food? You can buy all 4 books and get the ebook for free. Go right now to chantelrayway.com, or you can go to Amazon. Also, I just wrote a brand new book called How to Delegate Everything But Sex. If you are stressed out and are tired of doing everything on your own, go check out Delegate Everything But Sex, and there's all kinds of freebies on the site. So one of the things that I'm hearing people say is that they're saying, I'm drinking all this water and I'm still so thirsty. And so they're saying, I'm drinking water, and then I'm just peeing, and then I'm getting more thirsty and more thirsty. And so when we think about liquid water, we think about either Voss or just any kind of stuff that's good to drink, and it tastes good, right? It feels good to drink it when it's good quality, but our body is 70% water, and not a single ounce of that water is in this form, right? Because what's in the water that's in our body is more of like a crystalline structure, like almost like, when you go get water, like an IV, they've got all the potassium and they've got minerals in it and they've got sodium in it. And, if you look at the form of water, it's almost like that's in our body. It's almost like if you've seen Jell-O and you see liquid turn into solid, that gel-like structure, that's kind of what the water in our body is like. And so I want you to kind of address that a little bit about the sodium and how important that is, and the electrolytes, because I'm hearing this over and over and over again. People are saying, I'm drinking so much water and all I'm doing is just peeing it out, and I'm thirsty and I'm constantly feeling dehydrated.
Yes. Okay. So there's a few things with that. So as a rule of thumb, you want to drink as a minimum half of your body weight in ounces daily, and that can go up from there. Most of the people that I know that are heavy detoxers are drinking a gallon of water a day. And that is true. You will be more thirsty. Your body will become more accustomed to absorbing more water. So because of that, I used to keep track of how many glasses of water I would drink per day, and I would, as a high schooler, I remember, not wanting to drink sodas or pops, because when I would run, I would think that my mouth was really like almost dry or sticky. So I stopped drinking all of that in junior high. And in high school, I really focused on drinking like an 8-ounce glass every half an hour or hour. And I would set a timer and go outside and do work for my parents. And then I noticed that my body started getting on the schedule where I wouldn't have gone in because I knew the timer was ringing. I would go in because I had to go to the bathroom and the timer would be ringing. So you can get your body on a cycle. So then when I, later on in my young professional days, I'm working, 60 to 80 hour work weeks, and I'm trying to maintain, the glasses of water per day. And what I noticed was if I drank a lot at one time, so I would drink something mid-morning, like between breakfast and lunch. And then I'd drink a liter. And then I drink a liter between, lunch and 4 o'clock. And then I would drink another liter later. And if I was detoxing, then I would beef that up a little bit. But what I found is when I was drinking more water at one time, when I went to the bathroom, I would go to the bathroom just more volume at one time. So it wasn't it was training my body to fully empty and fully fill. And I liked that. One thing with water is if you're just drinking straight water, you are getting detoxifying benefits for sure, but you aren't getting the electrolytes and the other things that are so important. And it's like you need those extra things in actualizing to detox. You have to have those things because it's something that your body requires, or you're just flushing everything out. And you can tell, watch your color of urine. Obviously, if you have vitamins, that can change the color. But if you're going to the bathroom frequently, you want your urine to either be colorless or near yellow colorless. So you can tell by how your body is responding as well.
So, yeah, I think that one of the things that people, what you just said is true hydration isn't just a matter of drinking enough water, but it's also about making sure that the water gets into our cells. And so if you're drinking water, but it's not getting into the cell, then that's how you can still be, dehydrated. And so one of the things that you talked about is, taking electrolytes, and the electrolytes is a good way for you to make sure that you get those, it carries the electrolytes into those cells. And so I know for me, when I'm feeling extremely dehydrated, I have to make sure that I'm taking the Celtic sea salt or a pinch of pink salt. I have to add it to my water or put it on my tongue. Or if I'm really dehydrated, I might have to have some fresh coconut water that's all the ingredients is just coconut water, or add, like you said, the electrolytes into my water, which is really, really important. And then also just eating foods that are high in fiber, water, and electrolytes. So drinking, eating foods like celery, cucumber, watermelon, strawberries, things like that have a lot of water in them, or even juicing some of those vegetables really help me to feel hydrated. Anything else that you're doing that kind of helps you feel really, really hydrated?
Yes. And you mentioned the coconut water, and because we're athletes and we do compete a lot, we typically will consume a coconut water either the night before an event or the morning of if it's later in the day. And one thing you can do with that, if you're like, oh, I hate the taste of coconut water. I mean, we happen to like it. I have some kids that don't. What you can do, so I I love Living Fuel shake. I do that for breakfast and for lunch. I love the vitamins and the minerals and the nutrients that are in there. And it's not necessarily the shake itself. You can fortify a shake as much as you'd like. But what I will do is I always use an unsweetened nut milk. And I fill that up halfway before I use my Living Fuel. And then I'll either fill up with the detox water to top it off, or I'll use coconut water or a combination of the two, or sometimes I'll do unsweetened cranberry or unsweetened pineapple. It just depends on what's going on. And so you can dress it up even more and blend it with other fruit and vegetables, but making sure that you get those things. So whether it's through a smoothie, a juice, when you have a high quality juice that has just been pressed for you, you feel like when you go to the chiropractor and they're like, we turned the power on, it literally turns the power on. And so utilizing food really as nutrition is the way to go to help fortify your body. Because if you're doing all these detox things, but then, eating out or going other places that's bad for your body or that has inflammatory ingredients, then it's like 2 steps forward, but like 3 steps back because you got to detoxify all that stuff that you're doing. So definitely having an anti-inflammatory diet is key, having the proper water, and then incorporating essential oils and other detox strategies that are going to help you keep your toxic bucket as low or as clean as possible.
Yeah, so with the Celtic sea salt, so my son I have a hard time getting him to drink water because he plays so much sports and he does so much stuff. And lately he's just been getting these headaches. So he's like, Mama, I have a headache. Mama, I have a headache. And 100% it's because he's dehydrated because he goes all day at school, goes and plays baseball, and then this sport and then that sport, and never drinks enough water, and then comes home and says, I have a headache. So I recommend just taking a little bit of this Celtic sea salt, putting it on your tongue, and then drinking water. For him, what I've had to do, because he doesn't want to just just take the salt regularly. He loves the masa chips. So I have him take a little bit of this salt and sprinkle it on top of the masa chips and do that with the water. And within usually about 20 minutes, his headache has gone away. Because I do that combination of the chips with the salt. You just really need the salt in the water, but for him, it's easier to do it that way. And honestly, the parent's first reaction and anyone's first reaction is they have a headache, and the first reaction is, let me go take Tylenol. This to me is the first step of defense. Is I take this, I'll have a coconut water, or I'll have I take the electrolytes, and then I drink water and make sure I'm getting plenty of salt. If you're getting a headache, what do you do besides taking, instead of taking Tylenol to help relieve any headache or pain?
So I'm going to use a roll-on bottle. So I have a headache blend that I can make. Some of the first go-tos, if you don't have any of that stuff, is going to be peppermint and lavender. You really want the lavender to open up the blood vessels, and the peppermint to kind of soothe and calm. But then again, it also depends on what type of headache you have. Let's say it's for allergies. It's because of allergies. So I'm going to want to use lemon, lavender, and peppermint in equal parts. So typically in a roll-on bottle, let's say it's a 10 milliliter size, depending on the dosage, you're going to use 12 to 20 drops, and it depends on what your dilution is going to be. And the rest of that would then be fractionated coconut oil or organic jojoba oil. And you would shake that up. So I would put, if it was a headache that dealt with allergies, I would be opening up all the sinuses, putting pressure on all those areas behind the ears and all the way down, from the top of the mastoid bone all the way down, back of the neck. And even sometimes a foot massage will help. If you also are needing a plus D, decongestant, then you want to add tea tree to that mix as well. But if it's just a headache from dehydration, then definitely lavender and peppermint to start with, or lavender, peppermint, and spearmint. And there's a variety of different oils that will help, but definitely some of the menthol essential oils mixed with relaxation oils like lavender or chamomile is the way to go, because you want to be able to open up and dilate those blood vessels, because that's what some of the other medicines like Excedrin does using caffeine. Or you want to not just open it up, but calm everything down. And so definitely doing a roll-on bottle or a detox bath is the way to go.
So let's jump right into the detox bath, because another way to take in electrolytes are by taking Epsom salt baths to absorb that magnesium through the skin. So let's talk about exactly what's in your detox bath. And I'd love for you to show the new cards that you guys just got.
So this comes out today. And love this. This is like our greatest hits from our first 3 books. My husband, Dr. Eric Zielinski, and myself. And so in this little card deck, it has all of these recipe cards. So it's going to teach you how to do health, home, body, etc. So one of those is going to be your restful evening detox bath. And you can go the restful way and follow those recipe cards. Or just the simplistic detox bath is 1 cup of Epsom salts. Now, you want to make sure these are pure Epsom salts. We don't want any fragrances in them. We just want it pure Epsom salts. So if you could drink the Epsom salts, then you can bathe in the Epsom salts. I wouldn't do it the other way. There's so many that come out that would have essential oils. You have no control over where they've sourced those essential oils or how they have put them in there. And most of the time, they're just fragrance. So you just want pure Epsom salts, 1 cup, 1/4 of a cup of organic apple cider vinegar with the mother. And then you want 1 tablespoon of liquid carrier oil. So that can be fractionated coconut oil, jojoba, almond oil. It could be olive oil. It could be any of those. I really like the fractionated coconut or jojoba for this one. I like it because it's very light and not dense, because what happens is you're going to mix that with essential oils, but once you've soaked in the bathtub, it gently detoxifies all of your skin and takes like just that first layer of dead skin cells off, and those kind of float to the surface. So this is not that kind of thing that you're not going to be washing the tub afterwards. You will. And so you really don't want to be scrubbing off olive oil in the tub, although you could. But the best way is to take 1 tablespoon of your carrier oil, 1 to 2 drops of lemon essential oil, and 6 to 8 drops of lavender essential oil. So you're going to mix that up together first. And I usually use a glass little measuring cup. I have like a 2 tablespoon one. I have ones in every size. But I like that one because you can get your tablespoon in and your essential oils, stir it up. And then you're going to put your Epsom salts in the tub, then your apple cider vinegar, and then your combination that you just made. And then you're going to run your hands through the tub to really have everything, be completely into the water. It's not bad if you still have the particles of the Epsom salts in the bottom of the tub, but it is really better if everything is dissolved. So then you want to get into this bath and you want it to be as hot as you can stand, because you're going to be there for 30 to 45 minutes. Now, if you've never done a detox bath before, you're going to want somebody to be at home just to check in on you because you are detoxing, and it's always good to have somebody else present. So, read a book, do whatever. I mean, when I make my kids do a detox bath, they're always like, can I have my iPad on the toilet while I'm watching it from I'm like, sure, because that's like the best way to keep them in there the longest amount of time. Because literally after 5 or 10 minutes, they're like, can I get out yet? And you're like, no, not yet. So, you want to definitely have something to do while you're in there and detox. And I try to get as much of my body submersed in the water. And I even fold up my legs, do whatever I have to do in my, big old bathtub. But then when it's 5 minutes to go, you want to come to your knees, and then you want to slowly stand up so that the last minute you're just standing. Because remember, your the bottom of your feet have 10,000 pores, and that is also an exit place. That's why we do things like a foot ionization bath, other detox steps. So you want to utilize that so that you're standing for that last minute, kind of roll to your knees and then start to come up, and then stand for your last 10 minutes. And this detox bath is definitely something that's great to do before you go to bed. Not something you'd want to go do if you had to run, like 10 miles. Like you will be a little bit demotivated after that. I mean, this is like your next step is a nap or bed, but you will feel so much calmer. And just the way that the essential oils and the Epsom salts work together, it really helps to get that extra lactic acid out of the body. And this is a great way to do it. You combine that with using products like Natural Vitality Calm and other highly absorbable magnesium, then it's kind of like you're working that from the inside and from the outside in and the inside out. And it works really well to help detoxify your body.
Awesome. Let's talk about oil pulling. And I'm a huge fan of oil pulling. I think that it reduces the amount of bacteria in your mouth. It's really great for gum health. It's really great for bad breath and cavities. And I think it's really simple and easy to add to your routine and your morning routine, especially. So talk about exactly what you do and some tricks to make it easier and to be adding to your morning routine.
Absolutely. So, for those of you that don't know what oil pulling is, it's an Ayurvedic method of utilizing an oil to draw an oil. My dad being from the analytical sciences, sometimes that's the only way that you can extract oils. And a lot of the toxins in our body are not water-based toxins. They're oil-based toxins. So the only way to pull some of those things out is with an oil. So what we do is on the very first thing, this is before anything else happens in the morning on an empty stomach, you want to take now the Ayurvedic method may have used sesame oil. You can use sesame oil. I prefer coconut oil because it does solidify really well with essential oils I can mix in, but it's up to you. So you can do a teaspoon to a tablespoon. And if you do a teaspoon, I usually use 1 drop of essential oils, up to 3 drops of essential oils with the tablespoon. And if you get a couple extra drops of oil in there, that's fine. But one of the things I love to do, and you gave me a great little sizes, because I've always used just regular ice cube trays, and so you got me some cute little they're silicone and they're cute. But what you do is you're going to pre-mix those. So let's say you're having problems with allergies. Then doing lemon, lavender, and peppermint, a drop of each, is great. If you do need that decongestant, you can add that 4th drop in there. Let's say you're working on better breath. So you could go with peppermint or peppermint and clove. Let's say we're working on your immune system. Our blend for immune boosting is equal parts of cinnamon, clove, eucalyptus, lemon, orange, and rosemary. So, and that recipe is also in our deck of cards for that blend. So we make our own immune boosting blend, but any of the essential oils have their own. And usually it's different proportions of that same blend, but we'll do 1 to 3 drops of that in there. And you can mix that with peppermint. So there's a lot of good variety. And so you want to keep, you don't go to the gym every single day and do the exact same routine, because your body has muscle memory. So with essential oils, it's very similar to that. So you want to do a variety of things based on what your needs are or your pain points are with the oil pulling. But I have had a tooth that was growing darker, and I actually had all of the amalgam fillings taken out, or I thought I had, and they had left a fragment in there. And I noticed it, and I had started oil pulling, and it literally made the tooth like come back. And then I had the work done to it to get that last piece out. And I know it saved my tooth. So what you're going to do is teaspoon to a tablespoon. First thing, you're going to pop that in your mouth and you're going to swish it around like mouthwash. So this is the thing. Some people, but I cannot do oil in my mouth. I'm like, think of it as mouthwash because it's going to go to liquid pretty quick. Even if you have it in the freezer, it's going to go to liquid pretty quick. So you want to do things that you normally do first thing in the morning, whether it's like making your bed, getting breakfast set out, putting clothes in the dryer, whatever it is that you do with your morning routine, that takes about 15 to 30 minutes. You're going to do that for this amount of time. And then when you're done with that, you do want to spit it in the trash. You do not want to get coconut oil stuck.
That's so important. It's so important because you will mess up your pipes if you keep putting it down your drain.
Friends who have had hundreds of feet of pipe removed and had to have replaced because of coconut oil. And even some of our soaps that have a coconut oil, in that as the surfactant, like I have to regularly have our handyman take out the bottom of the sink and scrub it out because you're just going to get gunk. It's just going to happen. So I always recommend taking a paper towel. I'll actually spit it into the paper towel. I'll actually blot my tongue and help get the last bit of those toxins out. I feel that always helps. So that is definitely my very first thing I do in the morning. And then I do a few other detoxifying strategies as well as making sure I have my essential water made for the day.
Well, let me just talk about the way that you can do it the easiest. I want to just make it clear for people. So to me, the absolute easiest way to do, like you said, is to put it into little bitty ice trays, little small cubes, putting about a tablespoon in. And I want to talk a little bit more about some of the combinations that you have done, because this is the thing with Mama Z. She literally has these different combinations that she puts together that are just magical, the way they taste and the way they just go together. I will say one thing that I started adding is bergamot for the teeth pulling or the oil pulling because teeth pulling. Bergamot oil is known to reduce bacteria on the teeth and gums and leave the breath smelling fresher. Lemon oil it really helps prevent bacteria from building up and whiten the teeth. And then also myrtle is an antibacterial and kind of an astringent. And so adding those in. But you tell us a couple of different ones that you like inside and it makes it so easy because you can literally put it in your ice cube tray. You fill it up with the oil, and then you can just go one drop, one drop, one drop, one drop, one drop, one drop, and then, put the next drop in and then freeze it. And then you just pull it out and boom, it's just, you go to your freezer, pop one in your, and I'll kind of show that while we're doing it. So tell us some different combinations that you like for people to put in the oil pulling.
So some of the basic ones, clove and peppermint, immune boosting and peppermint, or immune boosting and spearmint. You can do clove and bergamot. You can do peppermint, spearmint, bergamot, clove. You can do lemon, lavender, peppermint tea tree. I have one that's a citrus lovers that has a variety of citrus, including bergamot in it. I do another one that has clove, myrrh, and think of all of your favorite toothpaste as well, like what is in those, and essential oil wise, or favorite flavors. Obviously, the Food and Drug Administration uses the most amount of essential oils, food grade essential oils, from your peppermint mint patties to all of those things. So if you have access to higher quality essential oils, you're making up your own things that are going to help with your mouth. Again, pain point, let's say you are dealing with fatty liver, then, it would be definitely spearmint and clove. So I would go with your pain point and then do that. But yes, doing them ahead of time, it's a no-brainer. I actually, as soon as they're frozen, you can either have them labeled or you can put them in a Ziploc bag once they're frozen and have them labeled. So then, hey, if you're feeling this today, then go with this. Or if you're feeling that, then go with that. but I highly recommend having a couple different options. Always having an immune boosting blend one is great because it has, all of those factors, the cinnamon, clove, eucalyptus, lemon, orange, and rosemary. So, and again, you're going to be swishing it and spitting it out. But you do want your your breath to be fresher. And so doing this as a natural part of your daily detoxification is great. Now, a few things about that. I've had some people say to me, well, you know what? The first time I did this, I felt like sick to my stomach. Sometimes I'm like, maybe it is a change. If you're very regimented in your lifestyle and you're making a change, sometimes that alone will make a shift in your body. So, definitely give it a little time. Give it 10 to 14 days to, even though it does start working right away, but give your body a little bit of time to make transitions, because, little transitions like that end up being big transitions in the end. And you want to stick to some of these easy tools that will help you live a more detoxified lifestyle.
All right, let's move on to the liver gallbladder flush. So give us a step-by-step of what to do.
Yes. Okay, so I have done, so initially the Dr. Hilda Clark method was written out. Now they have a bunch of supplements and things, and you can, follow all that protocol. But over the years, I've found a lot of different strategies that help with the liver gallbladder cleanse. So one of the first things that I like to do is, if you haven't done a parasite cleanse, there's kind of like a hierarchy to cleanses and what things you need to do first. Then if you haven't done a liver gallbladder cleanse or a parasite cleanse, you want to start with parasite cleanse, because a parasite cleanse is going to be kind of like your first tier to like helping cleanse your body. I really do like the Kroger herb, and it's Kroeger, and that's the wormwood kit. So I utilize that for 2 weeks. But remember, there is different cycles of growth. And I remember one person saying, well, I am completely a vegetarian or a vegan. I couldn't possibly have parasites. And I'm like, do you know how many people touched your food if you didn't grow it all yourself by the time it made it to your table? Well, on average, your food travels between 1,200 and 1,500 miles before it gets to your table. And there's a lot of hands that touch it in between. And I'm sure not all of them, they have washed their hands after they touched something that was not good or went to the bathroom or all of that, which is disgusting to think about. But we all have parasites. So we need to do the work. So I use that kit. I follow it very specifically. And if you tend to have more candida in your body, it calls for like one clove pill, one or two wormwood combination pills, and then 2 eyedroppers full of the tincture. If you do have more candida in your body, I recommend 2 clove, because clove is one of the highest ORAC values that you have for detoxification. So you'll do that for 2 weeks. And then you can start your liver gallbladder cleanse. One of the things over the years that I found, because I've been cleansing for so long, and especially after as many pregnancies as I've had, we have 6 kids. I've been pregnant a lot. So I always do liver gallbladder cleanse when the kids get a certain age, while they're still nursing. So it's kind of like baby's first cleanse as well. But I like to use what's called orthophosphoric acid. And orthophosphoric acid is like a stone buster. Of course, they sell stone busters and all this stuff, but all you really need to do, I like the biodynamic apple juice. So it's better than organic. It's in glass. And you mix 3 quarts of that apple juice with 1 2-ounce bottles of orthophosphoric acid. So what you're going to do is, let's say that your liver gallbladder cleanse is going to take place Thursday night. Then you would start Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday doing a quart of this, of that a day. So then coming into the night of the gallbladder cleanse, you would want to have an only vegetable diet, nothing extra, chew really, really well. And then you would drink. So let's say you're going to go to bed a little earlier. You need to have your body be able to process through all the stuff that you're going to do. So let's say you stopped eating at 4 o'clock. Your first round of Epsom salts would be 6 o'clock. You would do 1 tablespoon in 1 cup of as hot as you can stand, purified or distilled water. You drink it down. 2 hours later, you would repeat that. Then 2 hours later, and I have tried many different varieties of combinations of fresh pressed citrus and olive oil. This is organic, first pressed olive oil. It's like the cleanest from the top olive oil that you can possibly get. And when I first started, it's any seeded citrus that you can use. So I did a grapefruit, a tangerine, a lemon, a lime. That does taste better, but I have gotten much more draws of stones out when I've used a combination of lemon and lime. So you want to do 1 1/4 cup of fresh squeezed lemon or lime juice. And then you're going to fill, wrong way. Hold on a second. It is 3/4 of a cup of the fresh squeezed lemon or lime juice. And it's 1 1/4 cup of the olive oil. You will never look at olive oil the same. You might even burp olive oil for the first time doing it. It is not the best thing. You can hold your nose. You can try many tactics. I've done it so much that I've kind of gotten used to it. But what you want to do is on your bedside stand, you want to take either a chopstick or a spoon. You want to whip it up because it's going to immediately separate. You want to whip it, and drink the whole thing down in one deal. So if you're ever going to skip brushing your teeth that night, either do it before you do it, but you want to do this right before you sit in your bed because you want to lay flat for at least 20 minutes with a heating pad on your tummy. And believe me, by this time and all the Epsom salts, you should be about as empty as possible. If you're not, then you may wake up later, but you want to at least make it that first 20 minutes flat. You can sleep on your left side as normal because that does help with digestion, but I have gotten more stones out if I've laid on my back the entire night. Then in the morning, you want to do a saltwater flush, or you can do another Epsom salts flush. I actually do both. And the reason is because you'll have different waves of stuff coming through and you continually will have more and more stones. So you also want to make sure that if you can schedule a closed colonic, because my thought is this, you can get a colonic done, but by doing this, it is such a better colonic and so much higher up into the digestive, all of the large and small intestines get involved in all of this. So what I do is then I do a saltwater flush. That is 1 teaspoon to 4 cups of purified or distilled water. So, 2 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons to 4 cups.
Let me say something about this because the saltwater flush. So let's talk about that on its own because the saltwater flush, for me, what is so powerful is if you're like me and you suffer from constipation, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. And sometimes high fiber foods don't always do the trick. And you've tried this and tried that, it doesn't work. I want you to really consider adding this saltwater flush into your mix. And I think that a lot of times people don't realize that it sounds crazy, but the method of your colon and your stomach cleansing this way is a lot safer than doing laxatives or diuretics and stuff like that. So I just want people to understand, like, the salt that you're doing, it's needed for so many different biochemical processes. I mean, if you think about cell wall stability, nutrient absorption, this is something you need to think about that can add to your, I think Mama Z does it a little too much. I can't believe she does it as much. I hate doing it. But I try to if I can, I want to try to do this saltwater flush like once a week. I'm going to try to even push myself to doing it twice a week. Okay, go ahead. I just wanted to say that.
And I'm an O blood type. O blood types require more salt. So I double that batch. And I learned about it first through the Master Cleanser. The Master Cleanser is this little yellow book with a green tree on it. I've used it for years. The Master Cleanse is an amazing cleanse on its own. You need to read the book and follow it on your own. really, because it's, they've come out with the maple syrup, cayenne pepper, blah, blah, blah. People have done all kinds of different spinoffs. Nothing is as good as the original, and doing it the way that they actually instruct in there, not using cayenne pills, using actual cayenne pepper, all of that stuff. But one of the things they talked about was washing your insides like you wash your outsides. And that really resonated with me. And so I've done this for many years. I don't have to do it every day. In fact, one of the days this week, my body was like, nope. And so I just listened to my body. I'm very in tune with my body and what it needs. And so I just didn't. And my body, does the same work that it does. And I maybe drank an extra, liter of this kind of water. But what happens is on an empty stomach, let's say you did 2 teaspoons to 4 cups, or to 2 cups of water, 4 cups of water, or like I do, 4 teaspoons to a quart of water. Then I'm going to down that thing right after the oil pulling. And then within about an hour, your body just cycles everything out. So it's just a nice cleanse to the digestive system, and you're, going to go to the bathroom, and it's going to be watery. It's going to be watery. You're going to get, your body's feedback. So you want to look at what things come out, what things didn't get digested, because then you can really tell what things your body doesn't want. Because if it wasn't digested by now, it's not going to be digested. It's just going to be part of your waste. So I do that. I do that daily. And have for years. When I've had babies, we have our babies at home. Sometimes it'll be 2-3 days before I'll do it. I just listen to my body, but it really does help overall. And so then one of the other things that you can do following that is you can do your Epsom salts together. And typically I will, if I've gotten up in the morning early, like I usually do, I'll do my saltwater flush. And then before I travel to the place that I go for my colonics, it's about a 45-minute drive. So I will put 2 tablespoons and 2 cups of as hot as I can stand, purified or distilled water with the Epsom salts. And I will shake that up. It'll be completely homogeneous. But see, by this time, I'm already pretty cleaned out. And so it's going to take 45 minutes to get there, but it gives this extra push during the colonic to like get the rest of the stones out. So I'm going to wait until I'm about halfway to the colonic place before I do that, because the last thing I want to do is take the Epsom salts and then have to go find a bathroom on the way to the colonic. I do not want to do that. So I'll have the colonic, and what happens, because you've done the pre-prep work, is you'll have just a lot of liquid to begin with, and then you'll start getting deep stuff from your colon and lots of green stones. You'll get green stones. If you've never done a liver gallbladder cleanse before, it was recommended to me the very first time I did it to do once a month for 6 months, and then be off of it for a year, and then, go from there. So you've got to listen to your body as well. But the very first time I had a few sapphire color stones and green stones. So it's bile. It's very putty, like your body is getting rid of that bile. It's cleansing out the liver and the gallbladder of all the extra excess fat. And with all the diets that are high in fat, if you're having a higher fat diet, then you need to have a liver gallbladder cleanse more often. And, for me, I've just adopted it as a way of like my husband, when he does it, like he literally like gets cold sweats and other things like that. It's harder for him to do this cleanse, but it's worth it in the end. So I will get the colonic, and when I'm done with the colonic, I always drink beet juice and other stuff, because I want to know when the cleanse is complete. So I know when the beet juice is coming through, we're done, with all the stones that are going to come through, because you're going to get extra stones after you go, into the liver gallbladder cleanse with the closed system colonic. So, one of the things that, you can fortify colonics in different ways. You can use ozone. You can do a variety of different things. I also like to do the vibration plates afterwards, and utilize red light therapy. I kind of have a system set up at my house where I have the vibration plates and red light therapy in front of me. And there's a lot of good detox techniques that you can use alongside of this particular method. But know that, if you still feel heaviness in your gut and you're not all the way cleansed through, you might have to do another round of Epsom salts after that. But that's as many as I've ever had to do with a cleanse like that. And if you're doing it regularly as a form of detox, or if you're starting it, like I said, it was recommended to me once a month for 6 months and then be off of it for a year. Give your body a rest and, don't do it for a while. And I think that's important because we really have to listen to our bodies and know what our bodies need in order to, do the detoxing the way that we need to in order to cycle through things that we're going to do as well.
I don't know about you guys, but I am stressed. And if you're feeling overwhelmed this holiday season, then I get it. With all the family get-togethers, it is just a relentless source of stress. But anyway, there is something that I've got called Stress Guardian, and it's actually made by Bioptimizers, the people who make the magnesium breakthrough, which I love, love, love. But anyway, they are literally made this new product. It has 14 adaptogenic herbs and it just regulates your stress. I just actually took some right this second and it's awesome. If you go to stressguardian.com/wasteaway and put in waste away for 10% off your first order, it's stressguardian.com/wasteaway. Go there now.
So most people who I've ever talked to on the saltwater flush, they're doing them first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. But I just heard of a couple people that say that they've now started doing them sometimes in the early afternoon, a few hours after eating. And the way they do it is they know they're going to have multiple urgent bowel movements. So they just don't want to exercise or run errands for a few hours after they're drinking water. And they just kind of plan that, for 30 minutes to about the 1.5 hour, 2 hour mark, they know they've got to stay pretty close to a toilet and somewhere they can get to pretty quickly. And I just want to make sure that I say this again, because some people don't catch this part, but a saltwater flush absolutely needs to be with warm water and sea salt. Like, you cannot be using iodized salt. So it's got to be sea salt. You can't just use the regular iodized salt that, you might have hanging out at the house. And I was just curious for you, do you feel like, when you are having those urgent bowel movements, does it happen for you within 30 minutes? Is it an hour? Is it an hour and a half? What is your range of when you feel like you have to go to the bathroom?
So, and I've measured this. I will say it really does depend on the salt you use. I really prefer sea salt, the Hain brand of sea salt, not Celtic, not Himalayan, not Redmond, nothing that has those extra elements in it, because it's just going to bog the system down. You just want it to be a free flush. So if I have just regular sea salt, and there have been times when I've been traveling and I thought I had packed my other one, but I always have, other real salts and stuff like that. So
And are you saying the HAIN, that brand of sea salt, HAIN?
Yeah, they have both an iodized and they have a sea salt. You definitely want it to say on the container that it does not have any supply of nutrients or it's trace amounts of nutrients. That's what you want on the sea salt one. Not ones that they've added stuff to, not ones that it's naturally in. You just really want it to be a free flush. And I would say that for me, it's about a half an hour to completion, at max. But again, my philosophy of drinking everything all at one time, it really works for me too, because I will down all of that really fast. And then I will have just a couple of times going to the bathroom and it's, a large volume at one time, but it's all gone, it's ready to go. And the next thing I do after that is my living fuel shake. And, and so I kind of have my system of how I do everything. And it works. It works really well. But yeah, you you definitely, let's say you do have more issues with constipation, then, the night before you can do smooth move tea. You can do hot water with fresh squeezed lemon or lime in it. You can do a variety of things because it really works so well while you're in your parasympathetic state. So, and to do your lemon or lime water or your smooth move tea once it's cooled down, adding a teaspoon to a tablespoon of magnesium, a high absorbable magnesium, can help as well. While your body's in that rest and digest, in that parasympathetic, while it's like healing and cleansing the body like on its own. That's why I like doing it then. You can do it other times of the day, but I find that I've definitely gotten much more out of that, especially like I do have some friends who fast a number of hours every day. And so if you're going to fast, this is another way to help you kind of go longer as well. Because haven't you ever found when you're doing something, once you start eating, then it like starts that metabolism, right? So if you're going to be fasting, you could actually go longer if you do a cleanse like this as well, if you're going to do a fasting type of a routine or cycle.
So one of the things that we want to encourage you to do is to look at your poop and see what it looks like. There isn't a time that I go poop and don't turn around and like analyze it and look at it. And I even do it with my husband and my son. I'm like, let me take a look at your poop, because healthy poop is really important for you to look at to see how are you feeling. So I want you to just talk a little bit about what that healthy poop looks like, as far as, what color it is, it's shaped like a sausage or a snake, or kind of the width of it, like of a banana, or, being, 6 to 8 inches long. Kind of like analyze, like when you're looking at your poop or someone and saying, okay, this is healthy poop and this is not. Because I know for me, one of the things that is a main issue that I look at as well is that when the nutrients, if your poop, when you flush it, it should remain intact when it's flushed. And if it just turns into something else, that's a sign of unhealthy poop as well. So just talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and that's it's like feedback, right? Like that's like instant feedback to like what you're doing with your body. And I always tell people, like, let's just look at your body cycle period. Again, whip out the beet juice. Beet juice is one of my favorites, but lemon, lime, beet juice, chard, every, juicing place has their combination. Let's say you take that down. Beet juice is a telltale sign of how long things take to get through your system, because everything's going to turn red. So, if you do the beet juice and you're not seeing any red for a couple days, then your system is backed up. And that's the thing. If your system is backed up, your feedback, a.k.a. in the toilet, is going to be like you were talking about, these long banana-sized poops, and you really don't want that. Heavy ones that like weight all the way down. You want floaters that stay intact, but but they're not going to leave a skid mark. So you need to look at your poop and make sure that you have something that is not as big as a banana, not teeny tiny worms, that are literally intact, but aren't going to leave a skid mark either. Because and that's kind of what I look for. I remember one of the first speakers that I heard many, many years ago. I would rent every book on tape back then and listen to them. And that was one of the things that they said. So it's like, it's great to like get that instant feedback, so to speak, and see what things, work for your body. As a rule of thumb, I liked the eat right for your blood type as kind of a rule of thumb of the things to like avoid, or the things that were, super highly beneficial for bodies. And I found those to be pretty accurate when it came to that. And so I do like that as a tool. But if you're seeing pieces like corn pieces or pea pieces or, other things that are in your diet, or pieces of peppers or pieces of tomatoes, then it's showing you that your body isn't breaking it down. So you really have to eat right for yourself, and figure out what your triggers are. If they are, any kind of nightshade vegetables, or, other things for your body, the lectins and all of that stuff. So it just depends on your body and your feedback that you're getting. And it's going to be very individual for you, but you definitely want poop that's going to float. You definitely want poop that stays somewhat intact. And you don't want it to be the size of a banana.
Guys, I just want to interrupt for just a second, and I want you to hear Paul Saladino talk about why liver is so important. And if you don't like liver, we have another option for you.
Your ancestors were eating liver. And the reason that this sort of wisdom has been passed down is because liver is very nutritious. It's basically nature's multivitamin. If you look at the nutrients in meat, they're great. You've got zinc, you got B6, you got B12, you got some K2. But if you look at liver, it really complements what's in muscle meat. And there are many unique nutrients found in organs, specifically liver as a powerhouse of these, that are difficult to obtain outside of liver. Like meat and organs are like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. They're supposed to be eaten together. The easiest way to eat liver is just to do it raw. If you don't want to eat liver raw, you can cook it. But the reason that I like to do it raw is because there are unique nutrients in liver that are probably somewhat degraded when you cook the liver.
This really is like the most nutrient rich supplements that you can find. And they are amazing. I have tried them. I absolutely love them. So just go to heartandsoil.co, use the coupon code and save you some money there.
All right. Well, I am so glad that you gave us all of your detox tips. Tell everyone where they can get more information about all your books and your cards and some of your latest things that you've got going.
Absolutely. So you can visit us at naturallivingfamily.com and also our socials as well. And we have our books are The Healing Power of Essential Oils, the Essential Oils Diet, and the Essential Oils Apothecary. So those books can be found wherever books are sold. Online, they can be found on Amazon. And our new deck of cards that came out today, these are available anywhere books are sold. So Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, christianbooks.com, Amazon, and it'll get to your house within a few days, believe it or not, now that it's officially out on the shelves. Some of the other things that we have available on Natural Living Family, from our healthy cooking classes, our organic gardening classes, essential oil classes, is we have our memberships so that you can have access to every single thing that we do and have it be a part of your life. And then we have a community group as well that helps to mentor you as it relates to being naturally free of toxins from mind, soul, body, and of course, your 5 most toxic areas in the house: your bathroom, your kitchen, your pantry, your garden spaces, and your laundry room. So we want all those places to be toxic free. And how do you do it step by step? We want to help guide you all the way through. So we would love to have you be a part of our community.
All right. Thank you guys so much.